Hi everyone. Um Today I decided to jump on here because I'm going to be up for a little bit. For a couple of hours. Oh, excuse me. Okay. I'm going to be on here for a couple of hours before I go to sleep and then have to do my study things and then go to work. And so, while I'm out here, I was like, this is the perfect time. Let me roll up these windows a little bit. Perfect time to go ahead and chit chat with you guys and see what's going on. Get a little update, give a little update of what's going on in my life and in my area, and that I can share with you. Okay, so that is what I got on here for today. Hopefully everyone out here is um doing okay. Is doing okay. I know everyone, are gonna have some people are gonna have good days, some people are gonna have bad days, and it depends on what portion of your life you're in. Um, but hopefully, um, no matter what it is, hopefully it gets better. Even if it is great, I hope it gets better. Better than greater. Okay. So, um, yeah. I look kind of weird with these glasses on on live, but I had to read a lot and I was not gonna put any contacts in my face. It is towards the nighttime and it's allergy season. And not only that, I thought that I would be inside of the house, but I was not. Um a couple of things kind of startled me. So I did excuse me. So I didn't really serve the homeless um this morning. Hi there. I didn't serve the homeless this evening slash morning, and because of that, I wasn't getting prepared. I was just at home. I had to stop doing it today because of safety issues. We had an instance where a woman was attacked by some teenage kids at a franchise establishment at a franchise establishment, and it is on the news. But because of that, there has been a lot of craziness. Am I gonna turn this back on? uh I'll just keep it off. There's been a lot of craziness that has been going on in our city, and so um it was recommended that I do not serve the homeless today. Not only that, it was recommended that they were trying to recommend a lot of the homeless seek shelter. I know that sounds kind of weird, but just when they say that, usually it's a time for them to not to watch out for their surroundings and things that are going on, and be careful because people are protesting. People are some people are doing some things. Now it hasn't been the family. I Even though I don't promote violence or anything, but it hasn't been the family that has been doing this. This has been other people that just hear what's going on, and it's like they're taking things into their own hands. And so, on a negative side, y'all, on a negative side, it's not even the people that say, oh yeah, this is, they're like, how dare you go, and that's what happened, and you should be okay because she messed around and she found out. So that kind of thing, and they're taking things into their own hands, and they're using this time. Ooh, y'all, I hope this thing don't, I think it took my volume down. They're using this time to try to incite violence and hatred to any and everyone that they see, and that's not cool. It's night there. It's daytime, it's morning, but the sun doesn't come up until later. Where are you from? I'm um and so because of that, I couldn't go. I mean, I still could have went and just, went at my own discretion and still serve. But energetically, I felt like God was telling me to literally chill out and regroup. And that was that actually happened to me like that happened like 2 days ago, but yesterday was the actual day for me to actually go out. But they had already recommended us to not do it, and they, tried to keep that, make that very clear. And not only that, because they're getting help from neighboring cities and neighboring towns for what's happening. And so I was just like, okay, so I sat at home. I prepared my garden. I prepared my garden, okay? I have um let's see. I have no qualms about, my gardening. I prepare my garden. I was thinking about making a dress, and um I was thinking about making a dress, but I just really didn't have a chance to. So maybe if I have enough chance for the weekend, I'll start doing that. Excuse me. As I was doing that, I went to go and see if I went and called my mom to see if she was okay, see if she was willing to talk. Um, and today she really wasn't. She was the in and out kind of. Um, Not only that, she didn't want to talk to any of her siblings, but she did want to talk to her nephew, which is very surprising to everyone because this nephew that she loves to talk to now, is one of the nephews she couldn't stand. So I don't know what happens with that, but I know when people have mental disorders, a lot the people that they are very close to when they are in a mental state, usually they will not be friends with that person. They will turn on that person. That's why it is very important. Okay. All right. So it is very important that for people who have parents who have mental disorders like bipolar or schizophrenia, that they understand that sometimes the option of getting them out of an institution and living side by side with them in the same home, on the same dwelling, might not be the best fit, okay? And that is definitely for me. If you look at the studies, they show you already that chances for someone um who suffers from schizophrenia or suffers from bipolar, things like that, when they're in a difficult phase, in a phase and they can't they're not in a state of regulation with their emotions, they tend to lash out to the people that they know the most. Okay. Especially if you look closer like them, and I look like my mother. And so that would be I've seen it firsthand, how that's not the best thing to do. And so yeah. So I leave it as it is. And so I still got some of her vital information. If you have someone that's in a facility, if you are the person that's labeled as the guardian or the person next to kin, or they giving you any type of release to do so, or you're the community advocate, then they will they will give you the information. And so that's what she did. She gave me the information, telling me about her vitals and everything, and how she was doing that way. I also begin to ask some more questions because I know for certain that this process, even though I'm taking a little bit more time and being more cautious with what's going on, I know that the process that I have been dealing with should have been a little bit swifter. And when I say swifter, meaning that it's already been a history. um you have to follow a certain procedure to make sure that the person is safe wherever you're getting them to. Paperwork and everything has to be in line, and then they go. um that has been established. However, there has been there's still been a lot of hiccups, which I'm okay with because I know the God has something for whatever process that I'm going through. So that was that. Um, so after that, I told you about my garden. Yesterday I cooked. No, was it yesterday? Friday. Okay, the day before, because today is Friday. Okay, so no, the day before that, I ended up cooking kind of big steak and had a surf and turf and things like that for my family. And so while I did that, I was, I had other relatives that came up and they wanted to talk about um I don't know. It's not out here where you okay. Weird. There was a while I was cooking, I forgot you guys. I'm so sorry. I think I should put this light on. Okay. While I was cooking, while I had that time, I wanted to get up there and I wanted to get up and talk about a lot of the things that I've learned, a lot of things that I know will be beneficial to the people that were around me, which is understanding crypto, okay? Which was understanding crypto. I didn't know a lot about it a couple of years ago. I was introduced to it in 2010 when I was flying, and y'all, I made this big horrible, like, y'all. Okay, I'll tell you this story because it's really short. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but I was introduced to Bitcoin, y'all. I bought Bitcoin when Bitcoin was 10 cents and 25 cents. I had a lot of it. When it started raising, I sold it when it was, I think, like $5,000. And I was trying to pay off school. I thought that was just a great thing. And I'm like, okay, we still have time before we're in the situation that we're in now. Okay. So I just thought, okay, well, I know because when the first explosion goes off with crypto, there's going to be plenty more. Okay. That's just going to happen. And while that might be true now, then it wasn't. And crypto really, like, Bitcoin really took off and I should have just held. Okay. And it left me with consequences. Okay, that I regret. It was a lesson learned. Um, but I feel like that I really do believe that I will have a chance to recover because now I'm understanding the patterns. My thing is pattern recognition. I have a really good thing about that, and that's why I ended up going into the field, and I love the field that I'm in psychology. So that's why I wanted to do it, and I started learning more about crypto and what it does and what we're pushing on to. And not only that, being invited to see things that I didn't think that my eyes would be able to see when I started traveling, meeting other people that deal with autism and going on that spectrum, and meeting some of their parents and their families who were into this or who were on boards, who knew a lot more about crypto than I could ever imagine even having the opportunity to see. And so I wanted to share that, with people that I love and I care about. And it was kind of disheartening because you know, for certain, once you understand what's going on and everything that's around. And I've traveled a little bit, I was a flight attendant for 15 years. I understand a little bit about currency and traveling and things of that nature. And when things energetically shift, if you go into these other countries and seeing things shift drastically, you know what you're getting led into. And it's like you almost is better for you to be prepared than to sit there and look like you are lost in the sauce. Um and I really do believe that this is a God-given gift to even have that opportunity to understand it, because there are a lot of people that have no clue that this is getting ran in the background the entire time. When we're talking about things like what's going on with the Straits, or we're giving things about the sea. I'm not going to tell you what sea it is, but it's close to Taiwan. Okay, that's even way that's more important than the Straits. Okay, it's way more important than the Straits. Okay, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, the tip, okay? And this was the reason why, the country that I was in, that I'm currently in, wanted to deal with Iceland. This is all like, no, a lot of people who, especially including my family, people that I see every day, and I was like this too until somebody opened my eyes and I started looking more like, oh, okay. And then you start seeing it for yourself. That things are changing and it's going right in front of you. If you are not paying attention, you can miss it. You can miss it. And so, I wanted to share that with my family and friends, and they were like, no, not only that, they kind of shut me down and was like, okay, well, you know, that's not going to happen, blah, 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 woo, woo. And I'm sitting here like, okay, well, what is your solution to your issues? Because you're saying things are getting more unbearable for you to handle. Things are getting a little bit out of your income bracket. What are you doing? What is your plan? If you're knocking down the information that I'm giving you, what is your plan to deal with the situation or the issue that you have at hand? And they're like, oh no, I'm just gonna wait until my change come. Literally, somebody told me this. I'm gonna wait until my change come. And I said, what does that actually mean? Because sometimes we as individuals use a lot of sayings and colloquials and all these other things to sound very smart or sound good and sound like you're faith worthy, and they're empty. And I asked them, so what does that mean? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna wait until God, shows me. And it's like, okay, well, God presented me to you with this information. What are you going to do about it? That's what happens. If you want to hear a message, and people always talk about God a lot. If you want to hear a message from God, God usually sends people to you. You don't listen. Sometimes we don't want to listen because we don't like the vessel that he's using. I had to understand that myself. I'm like, well, I need to have this proven effect. The fact is that it's coming to you. Okay? And I can't, and you better not, people can't say, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait until they tell you on the screen. Because if you get told on the screen, understand you're way far behind. Okay? You're way far behind. But um, like I said, they were reluctant. They were very hesitant. They knocked down the whole idea. And so, I had to understand and have a discussion in my head about how am I going to proceed and go through this? Am I going to allow this to mess up my day? No. Am I going to allow things to fall where they may? Yes, to a certain extent. But maybe, just maybe, you know, um, God is showing them through me that it's going to happen. Okay. So there are a lot of people, and I know this for certain too. There are a lot of people who um who have the knowledge and the skills and the desire to help people to be better and help people to grow and to do things better. And people are reluctant to hear until issues arise, until trouble arise. When troubles arise, then that's when people want to hear. Okay. And there's a saying about that people react to only four things. Okay. When they want to change, when they understand and they know they need to change, when something affects them that they know that they no longer can stay the same way they need to. And there's two others, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, yeah. So, and you have to also understand that a lot of people in this life do not want solutions. A lot of people escape from the realities of what's going on. And I can be honest, I used to do that too. I would honestly escape, and this is the biggest thing. I really had was escaping of being who I was called to be, who I was designed to be. And I know that sounds crazy, But this is so true. I know for certain who I was supposed to be. I always knew that I was going to be helping people. I think I told you guys that about me being a professional helper. But society and the world will make you feel, because what you know and what you deem inside of you is so true. But it's different from than the average person. Society will want you to conform to the majority, the majority of the view, when you find out in reality majority is an illusion. The majority is a illusion. That majority of the people are hiding themselves too. A lot of people are hiding themselves. It's just different for me because I can't put up a smoke screen too long. I don't know if that's because of the autism or what, but it just doesn't work for me after a while. It just doesn't. And so I learned not to hide it and be authentic. Be authentic and face things head on. You have to face things head on sometimes. And it's not always boisterous, it's not always loud, but it is direct, it is clear, and it's concise, you know? So, yeah. So I got a little sad about that, but I was okay because I was like, okay, what am I going to do? What I've already asked them what they're going to do. I see that they're not going to do anything, but what am I gonna do? First, I understood that I'm not in control of how their life goes out. I've dealt with that a lot about control. Even if I feel like it's helping people, if you want someone else to do something that you feel is right or even is right, that will better them. If they don't want to do it, that's a part of control. That's control. So I've learned how to release and understand that their path is not my path. And to not only that, but not feel bad when the consequences come. That was another thing I wrote down, because there are going to be consequences when this happens. People don't understand there's consequences for every action that you make. And the consequence, which is the aftermath, the results of this, could be that they're stuck in the situation that they can't get themselves out of when things get even tougher. Okay, because they are going to get tougher. So, and I have to be okay with that. And it's not an easy thing. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that." No, because I'm still going to try to help my family no matter what, or help the people that I can no matter what. But I have been guided to understand that you can't help everyone, okay? You can't. You have to do what you are assigned to do. Anytime you step outside of that, you are interfering with free will. And I don't want no parts of it. I don't want no parts of it, okay? Because I know there are consequences. There are things that can hurt me by stepping outside of that will. Okay? I want to be in perfect will. And I don't want to step outside of it. I want everything that is for me, everything good that is for me, to be for me. I need that, and I'm not going to go and step outside of myself or outside of my blessing zone to assist someone who I'm not designed to help, someone who God might be teaching a lesson or having them to go through a process to do what they need to do, you know? And I know I'm not the only person in that has family members that are like that. Listen, I had a aunt that did the same thing to me, and I thought it was so hurtful. She was very mean to me, though. She was very mean. She was going through a lot, but she was very mean to me. When I was in my teenage years, kept calling me overweight, kept calling me fat, and it's so crazy because she wasn't even my size when she was my age. But she still, "Oh, you're flabby, you this." And I didn't understand. I'm like, why? Like, get out my face. Like, I got to a point, I'm a person like that. Like, you keep messing with me, I do not care. You keep poking the bear, I'll respect you. You keep poking the bear is going to growl. And so I used to get into it with her a lot. Like, so why does that even matter? Like, you're big now. You're fat. Like, what the heck? Like, and now I crack up and laugh because I'm like, you know what? She told me she was a size 12 then, and I was freaking a 7'8" in high school, but I was morbidly obese. I mean, they would tell me crazy stuff like that. And I was very athletic too, y'all. It was just crazy. It was crazy. Um, I look at it now and just laugh. I laugh at it now, but then it wasn't the best. I had a lot of other people supporting me, so that kind of helped with my self-esteem, but it did bother me a lot. Then she ended up having, and the crazy part, even after that, had kids that was even larger than me later on. It was just, but it's all good then. So, um, but what she did teach me, one time I ended up living with her, and I think it was in a family house. And I ended up leaving because I ended up getting a job and moving in with another relative. Then I ended up getting my own apartment, and then I ended up going to college. This was like because I had a break in college because some things happened or whatever. And so I think it was the first time when I got laid off from flying. And I was asking people, okay, can I stay with you? This is before all this stuff happened. I was like, and she was like, no, like, this is something you have to learn. And I was just like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, you have enough space. And at that time, I thought we had a good relationship, which we still did. And I was kind of upset, but at the end of the day, afterwards, like after a week, I was okay because I was like, you know what? I had a lot of tension. I didn't want to go with her, but I knew I would be safe, and I couldn't go to the other relatives' house because they just partied a lot, y'all. It was just not. I didn't want to go back to that area, but I ended up staying with I think a friend or something, and then I ended up going back flying really quick the first time. And so I didn't have any hangups. I ended up just moving back out to Charlotte. And that time I was like, I'm staying. Like, I'm not, I was dealing with a toxic relationship, still in the middle of that. And I was like, yeah, it's time to go and be free. And so yeah, but I learned how to stand on my own. I learned how to um, you know, do move when it's uncomfortable, and that made me stand on my boundaries because I promised myself that I would never live with her ever again. And I felt like because when that happened to me, it was something new, and I was like, I don't know where to go. I can't go to my mother. She's jumping from place to place and this and that and all kind of stuff. And I'm like, this I don't know. It's not gonna, I didn't know. I was like, I started flying when I was like 19. So I want to say it was like 2021. Okay, so I didn't know a lot about it. I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna get my job back. I don't know, unemployment benefits are gonna come in. They came right in like the first time. And so after that it was good. But um it made me stand on my own and understand that it is okay to fall. It is okay to get back up. It is okay to struggle a little bit and not to be fearful of it, because a lot of people will hide when tough issues come around, even when people don't help them. They're like, oh my God, I should just go in the sunk hole. That's not the time for you to go into the sunk hole. You might need to be a little bit reclusive to go and, figure out yourself, but don't go and hide. You can be a light to help others. There's been so many people who came up to me when I was going through my time of need and just standing firm on what God told me and just working out my problems. That was so many times when I went through that, when people were like, oh my goodness, I was going through this and you inspired me to keep going because I saw, and people were telling me that you had all this and you went through this. And, I felt like if I saw you doing this, then that gave me enough courage to keep going. You never know. You never know. That's your time. That's your time. That time in the firmament, that's your time to get up and be like, okay, this happened to me. So what? Okay. And not only that, because it will clear the air for a lot of other things. Okay. It cleared the air for me also when I was getting attacked spiritually. You don't know what you're coming up against. You might be going through this because somebody tried to do something and already said, okay, this person's going to turn around. This person's going to do this. And you doing what you need to do and still standing firm, standing on what you need to do and saying, but God, I'm going to keep going. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to hold my head up high. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep showing up. It might be breaking something off of you, you know? It might be breaking something off of you. And so you have to hold on, y'all, because you know what? I am in a what's the name lane? So I just want to keep the window down just in case. But you have to understand that sometimes you have to be, oh, let me turn this thing off. Sometimes you have to be in make yourself be intentional on your everyday movements because you don't know who you're going to inspire. You don't know who or what you are going against, okay? Because there's some people, listen, they waiting on you to feel, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so they thinking they stuff working. They thinking whatever they done did done work, okay? It is up to you to be persistent and saying, I don't care what it is. I don't care what it looks like. I know what I want and I'm going just for that. And I can have it because anything that I put my mind to, anything that has been in my head, in my conscious, the saying that I can have it and God put it in there for me to see, I know that it is able to happen. It is able to happen and it will happen just as so. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to believe in. That's what you have to keep going. And every time you keep going, it's gonna give more dominance. It's gonna give you that umph. It's going to let the whole world, the universe, because people always want to say the universe, but we do have universal laws here. Okay. It's gonna let the universe, the universal laws work in your favor. The ones that God created in your favor to get what you want. Not only to get what you want, to make everything align. Because when you start going up higher and you start doing things on a higher level, because it takes a lot of energy to be very determined. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy. And then people, a lot of people who do what they do, if y'all know what I'm saying, they know that. It takes a lot of energy to be determined and to be persistent. And people who know that there's power in persistence. Okay? Think about you losing weight. If you're doing it every single day and you're constant, you're going to lose weight. If you're doing something, eating healthy every single day, guess what's going to happen? It's going to work. It's going to work. Okay? So you have to understand that. You have to keep that in mind. You have to understand that. And like I said, just be persistent in it. You'll start seeing it and you'll see it come to realizations quicker than you even notice. It's the process. That journey will get you strong, will get you strong enough to when you're by the time you get it, you're off to looking to a whole different goal. You don't forgot that you was even going for that goal. You enjoying the journey. And that's what I ended up going through. That's what I ended up finding. That's what I ended up um, you know, seeing for myself. Okay, it really helps you. So I was glad for that. It got me stronger. So then when it was time for me to do other things like to work for an international airline and to work for a private versus a commercial airline, I was willing to do that leap. I was willing to take the leap and jump because I saw previously that when I kept being persistent and kept going even despite the obstacles that I was faced, and I was persistent, things happen. Okay? And so, yeah. So yeah. Um yeah, so that's what happened with my family and my friends. They are not into crypto whatsoever. Now I do have some college friends that I still talk to on a regular. Just a couple of them that we're kind of into it a little bit more. We get to talk a little bit, but even then, some things that we don't get to talk to. I have some college friends that are international now. They went back home or they live abroad now, and it's help. Okay, so what is this? Let's see. Hold on, y'all. Because I don't know if somebody's like dueling. I don't know if someone's doing a duel or what, but I just saw someone's volume, so I don't know if they're screenshotting or what. But if you are, that's cool. No big deal. I thought it was my volume going up. It wasn't my volume. So I know somebody is recording beyond recording. I thought it was my volume going down, and it definitely wasn't. Y'all, it definitely wasn't. So to who, whatever. Um, yeah, so those were the things that I did yesterday or earlier today. Y'all hear the birds chirping. They just a chirp, chirp, chirp. Let me put this up. So, um, yeah, I did that. I did that. I also tried to work on some of my I tried to work on one of my cars. Ooh, excuse me, because my nephew was driving one of my cars, and um he was having some issues. So I went and got a mechanic service to go look at it, and it was something that I could have done, but it saved me more time just to pay them to do it. Well, it didn't save me more time because they ended up doing it incorrectly, and they just got on my nerves because, and not only that, y'all, it was like a home service because they do have a mobile service too. So I was like, okay, this will save me time. I will pay the extra money for them to come to the house and go ahead and do the service instead of driving to their location, which is a couple of blocks away, but I was doing something. When they got there, they went and overcharged me. They overcharged me, and I'm like, dang, I got God. Okay, whatever. But even then, I wasn't even complaining because I'm like, I'm still saving time. I am saving time. I'm coming to this conclusion that sometimes it's better to save time and then invest it in something that's going to be more profitable. Okay, you're gonna have to spend money. Okay, you can't be just so punching on money. And so that's what I did, y'all. I paid for him to do the service. The service did not turn out like it was supposed to do. So I had to call them. They told me to come. They will come back not yesterday, but today. And I'm like, okay. I told them okay, but I was like, I already know by then. I will already do what they were supposed to do, and I just chuck it up as a loss and said, the money that they have, I hope they enjoy it because they won't get any of my services again. They won't get any of my services again. People will try to do that to you. And I knew that was happening already when they saw me and they saw that I looked a little bit older, and they were like, oh, she's a female. She looks so soft and like dainty. And it's just like, okay, y'all. Y'all forgot this is the Motor City. This isn't Detroit, but this is definitely the Motor City. This is like Speedway. Like, dude, most women, no matter what racial background they're in, if they live in this state, for the most part, they know how to do some stuff with cars. Most of them. Okay. They know how to do stuff with cars, and they know how to do stuff with you know what's. Okay. All right. When it's time to make lights go out, they know how to use it. Okay. That's what I'll say. So, but they just thought, okay, well, you need to do this, and they went and supposedly fixed what they were supposed to, and then told me a ridiculous, oh, this is messed up on this, and you have to do this. No, nah, that's not happening, my bruh. That's not happening. Like that would show up on a code thing, like what you just said, and that was none of the codes that showed up was nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. You know? And technology is so, especially with cars, are so up to date now. It's crazy, you know. And so yeah, I was like, okay, they about to learn a hard lesson. A real hard lesson, because if they would have did things right, they would have had a person for a good amount of time, and they would have had a lot of referrals. But Since they want to do dirt, then let them be with the dirts. So, so yeah, that was most of my day, y'all. That was most of my day. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. So hopefully that has helped you guys with that, because yesterday taught me a lot. Taught me a lot, and it also taught me about my growth, because I would have been so gun ho on trying to explain to my family and friends, you just have to do this. It's coming up. They're telling you everything right in front of your face, and the switches is going off, and the alarms are busting. And, come on, you guys, at least to try, even if this doesn't happen right now, it's going to happen eventually. I was at peace. I was at peace, y'all. And when I say at peace, at total complete serenity peace. You hear me? I was at peace. I was at peace because I knew it wasn't in my hands anymore. And even if they did do it based off of what I told them, they would be expecting me to guide them every single step. And you know how heartbreaking that is? Even when you are trying to help people who don't want to just learning from hand to mouth as a babe, that's a lot of work. There's a lot of work from people who just want the outside benefits. Sometimes you have to allow people to want it for themselves and understand their want and desire for it. Just like I had to understand the want and a need for learning crypto and things, like not only crypto but things that I need in life. You have more compassion for it, and you do things a lot better once you know there's a need for it in your life, and that it can change. It has a meaning, and it can change the dynamic of your situation. You know, I really do believe that a lot of people would be more invested into it. No, I take that back, because there are some people who've seen their loved ones, have success with crypto, and no, seeing it firsthand, they still are like kind of against it. Like, okay, it happened to them. I didn't believe it happened to them, but it only happens to them. It's not gonna happen to me, and I wish it would, but they're not taking the steps. You know, that's just like someone who says they want to lose weight, but they never go to the gym. They never eat healthy. And when I say healthy, I'm not talking about just eating healthy foods. They don't eat things in moderation. When you tell them that, okay, you need to ration out your caloric intake. Cut your caloric intake by a fourth of what you have it now. And if you do the same thing instead, and the only thing, just cut out one thing, and cut your caloric intake by 400 calories a day, you will lose the weight. You will see weight loss. People will be like, oh no, it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy. I gotta do 12,000 things. And there's some people who will go drastic for the most part, and they succeed. But then there's most people who do drastic things like that. They lose the weight, and they're not able to keep it off, because they think they have to do something very grandiose, and that's not how things work. It always deals with the small things. It always deals with the small things. Even in the Bible, it tells you those who are diligent in a little will be rulers over many. Meaning that if you are diligent in what, or not wasteful and diligent in what you are giving, you will have a lot. You will eventually have a lot. Okay? Don't look at all the people who got 12,000, all that other stuff. It's not gonna, in the long run, those people who, if they don't have diligence, if they not good stewards, they're not gonna have a lot. They're not gonna have a lot in the long run. Okay? And that happens a lot. Think about the people who get funds really quick, and they don't know about how to take care of funds. They don't know the value of having money to create wealth, and how they use it, versus somebody who is diligent and understand what wealth is supposed to be for. How you excuse me, how you really create wealth by getting assets, and becoming an asset, meaning getting more knowledge, maybe through education, a skill, something like that, you know, making your value go up, versus using your resources to impress other people, to spend, to do a lot of things like that, you know? So, yeah. Yeah. Um, what else? I think that's about it. Y'all, I don't want to stay on here too long because I already stayed on here 45 minutes. Took my doggone glasses off and I'm blind and I think I'm legally blind. Really. Really, but yeah, I'm gonna get off of here because it is time for me to get up, go to this store, get this coffee, get this stuff for this car, and be on my merry little way to my next stop. Okay, because I've talked on here for quite some time, y'all. And thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Bye.